Welcome to another episode of the Flagship podcast. This is part of our Flagship Pitch 2024 series, where we are getting to engage with each of the finalists for the pitch competition this year. So I'm excited to introduce the founder and the creator of Inspire Edible Designs, Kayla Kelly Burch. Thank you for joining me today, Kayla.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to be able to sit down and have a conversation. To start us off, because maybe the audience doesn't really know you, doesn't get to really know what you do, tell them a little bit about what you do, why you do it, and yeah, where you're from, all that stuff. Set the stage for us.
Set the stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my name is Kayla Kelly Burch, like you said, owner and creator of Inspire Edible Designs, and we aim to help people who want to throw epic parties by creating edible works of art with exclusive proprietary ingredients.
Okay. Yes. You said a lot of things there, so let me break it down. So you supply edible creations. So describe a little bit about what you mean by that. Is it like obviously I know you do custom cakes. That's probably like I don't want to say your bread and butter because it's cake, but it's your bread and butter. It's your cup of tea, so to speak. But what are some other things you do when you talk about edible creations? Give us sort of a sneak peek of what you specialize in.
Well, I think one of my main specialties would be my cake pops.
Okay.
And then cheesecakes
Okay.
and pies. I really like my cheesecakes, though.
Okay.
Brownies. Pretty much
all the good stuff.
Yes, pretty much anything dessert-wise.
Okay.
I like doing chocolate confections as well.
Cool. So what got you into baking? I don't feel like everybody just falls into it. My wife would say she is not a baker. She does not have the skill set. I wouldn't say I'm a baker either. I know how to cook Indian food. That's about it. But baking a cake or desserts, not my thing. So how did this start? Was it a family thing? Was it just something you grew up doing? Like, tell a little bit about your story.
Well, I've always loved to bake, and I've definitely grew up with it.
Okay.
And, times get hard financially, and having children, it's hard to go out and just get a regular 9 to 5.
How many kids do you got?
5.
You got 5 kids.
Yes.
Okay. So it is a full house.
Definitely a full house.
Okay. Yeah, we got 1-year-old and number 2 on the way, and so I can't even imagine a household full of 5.
Well, 2 will get you running, that's for sure.
Yeah. What are the ages?
They span, my baby girl just turned 9 today.
Okay.
Yes, and then my eldest is 15.
Wow.
So I have 8, 9.
You have a 15-year-old?
13, I'm sorry.
13. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Parents understand. We don't know. We really don't keep track of our kids' ages. They just grow.
He might as well be 15. He thinks he is.
Okay, so you started baking. Tell me a little bit more about that story.
Well, my son, for his 5th birthday, he wanted a Spider-Man cake, and I couldn't afford to go and get him the extravagant Spider-Man guarding the city from, attack.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how could I create this for him?
Sure.
And I knew how to bake, but the decorating, that was a little tricky. And looking back, it's not as great as I thought it was when I did it. I thought it was awesome.
We all start somewhere.
Yes, we do. I actually used a couple mini sets of Jenga to create the buildings.
Really?
Yes, and I covered them in icing.
That's really clever.
Hey, it worked.
Yeah.
Yes, and, I had Spider-Man on top and the villain across, and it was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing. So would you say you've always been artistic, or is that something that sort of you began discovering as you began baking?
Oh, always been artistic. In high school, I took ceramics and jewelry making and drawing. I took every art class I could, really, even photography.
Okay, so it's just in your DNA.
Yes, it runs in the family, really.
Okay, who else?
My mom, my grandma, my dad.
Okay, everybody.
Both sides. Yes.
Okay. That's really cool to know. It's cool to know that you come from creative roots as you're entering a creative endeavor. Yes. So how did the I guess it flip for you, going from just baking a cake for your son's 5th birthday to now running a business, being a business owner?
Well,
How did that, like, that's a big jump of like, oh, I just want to do something for my son to, I want to make other people's worlds creative. I want to give out my creations to the world.
well, that first time, it actually kind of blew up on Facebook,
Okay.
and I did it quite a few orders.
Social media is great, huh?
It is. It is. And then I had a little bit of a falling out, and that was with my previous marriage, and it made me lose a little bit of footing.
Sure, sure.
And a few years later, I found my now wonderful husband, and he's like, "Hey, you're really good at this, and I really think you should give it a go again."
Isn't it cool to have a good cheerleader in your back in your corner?
It is. I don't know what I'd do without him.
Like, I think all of us, it's sort of a requirement of marriage. Like, all of us, no matter who it is, whether it's the husband to the wife to the husband, like,
Yes.
I think there always needs to be us being willing to be cheerleaders for our spouse.
It's true.
That's cool to hear that your husband did that for you.
Yes.
So he sort of saw that in you. He spurred you on. So how long ago was that? When did you actually start this endeavor and sort of begin your process?
2021 is
Okay.
when I really picked it back up.
Okay. So
Yes.
2021. So it's been a couple of years now.
Yes.
And so tell me how that journey has been.
Oh, it's been a little rocky, but pretty awesome. I started off at home
Okay.
and doing it out of my house.
Good old cottage law.
Yes, good old cottage law. And jumping around that law isn't as easy as you would think.
No, it makes it a little easier. You don't need a commercial space right away, but it's still challenging.
It is challenging, and it limits what you can do and what you can offer and where, or rather who you can work with.
Okay. So yeah, tell me how it started back up in 2021. So he was encouraging you towards it. And so where did it go from there?
Well, we bought a home.
Okay.
So we got
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we got into a good workspace for me to start working out of.
Yeah.
And I started advertising, going to events and selling my baked goods. And
What kind of events did you start off at?
Turn Away No Longer. Hoorah. I absolutely love them.
Turn Away No Longer. Tell me about, I don't know what that is.
Oh, they raise money for foster children.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, they're actually building a house behind New Horizons Church.
That's
off
incredible.
Of 53rd Street.
Okay.
Yes, and that way when they get emergency children in the foster care system,
Yeah.
they can, like in the middle of the night or whatnot, they'll have a house to go to.
Wow. That's a really good resource for the community. Okay, so you started off by doing something with them.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And so then tell me how that grew.
And then that grew to like suicide awareness
Okay.
and Grateful Rescue
Okay.
in Muncie.
Yeah.
They're a pet sanctuary.
Yeah.
And so we just...
So it started with a lot of missional things.
Yes.
You saw
raising
causes that you wanted to partner with, and you were like, oh, well, let me use my gift.
money. Correct.
That's really cool. A lot of people, they become entrepreneurs or see opportunity, a lot of people, for personal gain, and I'm not even saying that in a negative way. They see opportunity like for their family and things like that. But you saw causes that you wanted to impact and you wanted to support. And so you began doing it in a very philanthropic way.
It allowed me to make money for my family, but also help them at the same time.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So, okay, so you started in 2021, really, really ramped up. Excuse me. So from 2021 to now, tell me what that journey's been. What are some of those big landmarks you've hit? What's that journey? How have you grown? How have you evolved?
Well, it's went from just doing events to really barely having time to do events.
Okay.
I've had to make it a point to do my Turn Away No Longer.
Okay.
I actually didn't get a chance to do the Grateful Rescue this past year. I donated still.
Yeah.
To keep that repetition going.
Yeah. You want to continue that partnership.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But now it's gone to where I have a couple partnerships with. One is the Wizards of Paul's Sanctuary in Indianapolis.
Awesome.
And we make their dog treats.
Very cool.
Yes. And so we branched off and even got out of just doing cakes and desserts. And now we do custom dog treats as well.
Very cool.
And then we also have a partnership with MDS Pack to Ship off of Nickel and Anderson.
Okay.
And it's kind of in the Edgewood, almost Edgewood.
Yeah, the west side.
Yes.
Cool.
and they have a booth for me in there. And they sell my
cool.
stuff out of there, which is awesome.
Yeah. So, well, and I mean, besides even those things, I mean, you've been a pretty hot commodity around the even the government events, because you've won the Mayor's Ball cake competition 2 years running. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you got involved with those things. Like, did you hear about it? Did somebody recommend you and say you need to do this? Like,
Yes.
Because I've seen your products at so many random events I've been to, and so like, yeah, I'm just curious, how do you stay involved? How do you do that and still run a business and still be a mom of 5 and still be like, whenever we're talking about like how crazy your schedules, I'm like, how do you continue to do it all? So share your secret with me. How do you find that balance of making sure you're still serving what you need to serve, so to speak?
Well, I think one main attribute is God.
Okay.
And trying to stay centered with him, making sure I pray and making sure I find happiness through him to stay positive through it all. And then my village, because I can't do it alone.
Tell me what you mean by village.
My husband, my mother, my mother-in-law,
Your
my
people.
father, yes, my best friend,
Okay.
my auntie, my cousin. She's my digital designer, my
Okay.
brander. She helps me not just with my business, but with my motivation to stay on my business and make sure I check all my points when I get stuck or not sure how to word something or how to approach a customer. She's a phone call, a text away, and she's always making sure, hey, okay, 1, you got this.
Yeah.
2, okay, let's see. Have you approached it in a business manner? Have you approached it in a godly manner? And do you need to take a second before you approach it again?
Well, that's pretty solid. It's good to have somebody not just for accountability, because it sounds it's more than that. It's accountability, but with a calibrated and aligned with your vision and mission. Because accountability just for accountability's sake, I mean, there's some value there. It helps you stay on track. But then when you have somebody like that in your corner of like, it's not just about getting work done. It's about getting work done, keeping God centered, keeping my family a priority, like all these other things while you're also trying to run a good business.
Yes,
That's a cool person to have in your corner.
definitely.
Very cool.
Definitely.
Okay, so
and then one thing I definitely don't want to not mention is Flagship itself. Flagship has been a huge tool and attribute in my corner. Flagship opening the opportunity for me to get into the professional kitchen space.
Yeah.
Phenomenally huge.
Yeah, we probably met about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago. I can't remember exactly. But that was before, for those of you listening, one of our big things we opened last year was our Flagship shared commercial kitchen space, our commissary for foodpreneurs. I'm a foodpreneur. Kayla's a foodpreneur. There's a ton of people launching food businesses, food trucks, catering businesses, all these different things. And the one thing they need is a commercial kitchen. And so we saw an opportunity with the space we have, and we launched a commercial kitchen last year. But Kayla was actually instrumental in helping us get that off the ground. She was very patient with us, and she was willing to help us sort of, I don't want to say use you as a guinea pig, but helping us learn, hey, this is good, this is bad, don't do this, do this. And you were willing to work with us and be very patient as we were in that transitioning of trying to launch this space. You were like, hey, like, you gave us great feedback and really helped it become what it is. And so I want to give a huge shout out to you of, one, your patience with us, but really your willingness to journey with us when we were like, hey, let's just try something new and we'll see how it works.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking that step for me. Not just for me, but for the community.
Yeah, and again, like I think more and more, like Anderson, Madison County, like there are already a ton of good resources here, but I think we need to continue to add, continue to innovate, continue to be creative with the existing things that are here. Because again, Anderson has a lot of history. There's a lot of buildings around, a lot of old resources that have just sort of gone unused for a long time. And I think instead of having to go build something brand new, I think there's merit in, I don't want to say recycling, but merit in finding something with age, character, and sort of history and revitalizing it and bringing it back. And we were excited to do that with our space because it was a commercial kitchen that went unused for a while and for probably about, I want to say 5 to 6 years. And we were like, well, let's bring it back to life. Get the health inspector in here, tell us what we need to do, and let's do something fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was awesome.
It's been a journey, and so, but no, thank you for being one of our first members, and also just helping us make something cool happen.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So going back to the village idea, I don't want to leave that too quickly, because I think that's really pivotal in a time in life where I think the village is not a normal thing anymore.
Agreed.
Life is very independent. We're all individuals, all that. And I'm not even saying that in a bad way. It's just more observational. Like, I think we all cherish our independence a little bit more than maybe we used to, and we're forgetting the value of that village perspective. How have you been able to keep that at a forefront? Obviously, you have good people in your corner, but how have you been able to keep that a focus and not sort of do what the rest of culture does and just sort of go into your individual lane and just do it on your own, so to speak?
Well, to be honest, I work at it. I make sure I check in with my mom. I check in with my dad. When things are good, I tell them. When things are bad, I tell them. No matter what, I make that phone call, and I instill that in my children.
So it's about transparency.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, transparency is uncomfortable for most.
It is uncomfortable.
Including me.
It's uncomfortable for me. Just because I do it don't mean it's not uncomfortable.
Yeah, there was a study I read a while back that it was talking about how do you build trust with people. And when they went into this study, they sorry, this tickle. I keep on coughing in the mic. This is so unprofessional. The study was talking about how is trust built. And they started the study with the belief that in order to build, or in order to sort of see what trust does, you build trust first, and then eventually by building trust between you and I, you will be vulnerable with me and I'll be vulnerable with you. We'll share, we'll be transparent, we'll sort of open up to each other. As they studied this, they actually found it was the exact opposite, that in order to build trust, you have to lead with vulnerability and lead with transparency. And that's something I found intriguing because, again, I know for myself, I historically am a very guarded person. I'd put a wall up and make sure, like, okay, people are on this far out. And I've realized in most recent years that it's like, in order to build authentic, long-lasting relationships, you sort of have to lead with this sense of vulnerability and sort of risk maybe even being hurt relationally in order to build a really strong relationship, a friendship, a marriage, any of those types of things. So it's cool to hear, like, one of your defaults is like that transparency, that authenticity that you're talking about. How do you, besides demonstrating it, like, how do you teach your kids that? I told you I have a 1-year-old, and so just trying to think of, like, how do I share that with the community? How do I share that with my daughter? Any advice there?
With your children, my main advice would be, don't be afraid to apologize when you mess up. If you mess up,
that's a tough one.
Own it. But it's okay, because you're teaching your children you're human.
Yeah, that's really good.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Mommy messes up too.
Yeah, no, it's humbling. Mm-hmm. It's very humbling. Wow.
But then I find that they're less afraid to come to you when they mess up, because mommy messes up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mommy owns it, because then you're teaching them how to own it as well. Because they've seen me make that painful phone call to my mom or to my dad. Oh my gosh, guess what just happened?
But you owned it.
But I owned it.
That's good. So how does this, it seems like a skill set, but maybe I would even go as far as saying this gift of transparency, authenticity. How does that translate now to your business? You've gone from in-home baker to sort of doing things that started off with your family, then moving to, like, more philanthropic. But now again, everybody wants a cake from you. Everybody wants a cake pop from you. You there's not enough Kayla to go around. So how have you taken that gift of authenticity and transparency and put it into your business?
Well, I definitely put the love into every single cake.
Sure.
And I find that my customers appreciate the transparency as well. Because if I can't do it, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. You're not going to fake it till you make it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if something happens, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So I had a mishap with one of my cakes, And I talked with my client. She gave me a review, and we came to an understanding. I wasn't just like, well, you ate the cake, huh? It's like, oh, I understand where I shouldn't have used that whip icing to do that showpiece cake.
Yeah.
I had never used whip icing for that showpiece cake. So since she understood she did eat the cake, and she didn't tell me till after, we agreed on a half refund instead of a full refund. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it seems like you're in a great spot that because a lot of, how do I say this nicely to the rest of the world? A lot of entrepreneurs are not humble.
Well, I really appreciated the fact that she called and told me.
Yeah.
Because I have never,
feedback is the
ever
breakfast of champions.
It is. And I've never had a fail like that.
But in order to receive feedback, you have to come from a place of humility to receive it. And it seems like that's something you're gifted with of you're able to maybe accept those harder conversations, but in the end that makes you a better business owner. It makes you a better baker. It makes you a better creator.
And hopefully I won't have another fail.
But again, failure is, at some level, failure is a gift because it's an opportunity to learn.
I did learn.
Yeah.
I knew exactly the two things. One, I won't use whipped icing again.
Yeah.
And two, I did learn that I needed to support that heavy thing differently.
Yeah.
The heavy topper that I created differently. And so when I had my second cake with that really heavy topper that I created, I was able to support it for transport of a 30-minute drive and had no trouble.
So what I'm hearing is you took that failure, you took that opportunity as a way to innovate and create something that was a better product.
Definitely. That's what you have to do.
You have to. No, that's a really cool skill set to have, and really cool that you identified that. You didn't just, take the loss and get frustrated at yourself or, get frustrated at the client or whatever it is. You took it and grew.
Yes, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
I want to stay around. So, I mean, I can't get mad at her for what I did.
Constant growth.
But she liked the cake, so that's good.
Good. So tell me a little bit about, Inspired Edible Designs. Tell me about the dream, the vision. So you've been doing this now for a couple of years. Really a couple of years driving growth. You're one of our pitch finalists now. You're going to be participating here soon. And if you could paint a picture for people who are listening, people who maybe don't know you, don't know much about maybe your dreams and aspirations, in 5 and 10 years, where do you see Inspire Edible Designs going?
I see it going to train my babies. 3 of my girls would like to hop on board in Mommy's Creations, as they call it. I want to make cakes with you, Mom. So I would love to train them. And I would love us to have a family working business. And I would love to find a good place in town to call my own, to create, to, even if it's an empty space which, kind of sounds awesome. Not like it's a lesser of the two options, but an empty space that I can make my own.
Yeah, a blank slate.
Correct.
Fresh canvas.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, talk to me. But a space that we can create and make our own and serve our clients in an intimate setting.
Yeah. So you see yourself as the dream to be that family bakery.
Yes.
A place where it can be a staple in town and people know where to come to get a good family cake.
And cake pops.
Yeah, you can't. Again, for those who are listening, you got to try one of these cake pops. You got to find her somewhere and order them because they are very much worth your time. No, that's a beautiful vision. And so because again, when I think of businesses like that, you don't have a lot of family local businesses anymore. A lot of things are box store chains, franchises, things like that. And those things aren't wrong. Like all those things have a place in our community. But I see more thriving communities when you have a lot more mom and pops. You have a lot more local. You have families that are actually the recipient of those purchases, not just a business. And so I think that's a beautiful vision. Trying to think of how to ask the next question. So that's the vision long term. I guess in the short term, in the next couple of years, what do you see happening?
I see Inspire expanding to make partnerships with more companies and vendors.
Okay.
And I really see Inspire getting a website, getting a firm basis menu for my wonderful customers. I am so sorry I don't have that for you right now. And
well, it's sort of nice. It's sort of nice, but also challenging because it's like, it's nice because there's freedom of creativity, but it's, I think it makes it harder on you. I would think, because then it's like, sky's the limit.
Yes, it does. It does. The hardest thing with creating the menu is the custom cake option.
Totally.
That is really my holdup.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So I guess we're probably close to about time, if not a few minutes over. I've sort of lost track. It was good talking to you. I guess I want to end with the question of, like, because you've been going through this yourself. You shared a little bit about, you started this in one marriage and you got a divorce, and now you're remarried. You've had a great partner and cheerleader working through. Now you're really launching, gaining traction. People know about you in the community. For somebody maybe going through something similar, where maybe they want to be an entrepreneur, but maybe life just has some challenges right now. Maybe there's some things going on. What words of wisdom or advice would you offer them as somebody who's maybe gone through it, somebody who is entrepreneurial, but also just creative, but also somebody who wants to be part of the community, wants to be a part of the village, and not lose that in just chasing a dream? What's some wisdom you would offer?
Well, one, I would say you're not alone. Don't feel alone, and don't make it to where you, in feeling alone, make yourself alone by staying alone. There are so many places out here that you can go, like the Flagship, like Energy Impact.
Yeah.
That you can go and surround yourself with a good community of people. Church is always a great place to start. I find that it is awesome when you build yourself up. If you aren't building yourself up and believing in yourself, then nobody else will. So find your footing, whether it is in your business alone or in business and God, because those two can exist together.
Yeah.
And faith-driven entrepreneur is one of the best classes I have taken. And I've taken a lot of business classes. Yeah. But knowing that business and God can exist together
in the same space. Yeah.
Is so encouraging. And don't lose sight of your goals. I am a goal-oriented person. When I write it down, I normally make it happen. If I don't write it down, it's normally one of those, what do they call, pipe dreams?
It disappears quick.
Yes. So make your goals. And one thing you taught me is put a timeline on those goals.
You got to put a timeline, or it will always be tomorrow.
Yes. And then another thing you taught me is mentors are important.
Oh, absolutely. I think mentors are key. And I think, again, you have very much displayed, as long as I've had the blessing to know you, like you lead with a growth mindset. You are always looking to grow, looking to learn, looking to be humble, get feedback, looking for mentors, looking for people to build your village, so to speak. And so I've appreciated just the example you have set, not just, I think, which has been great, not just for your kids, not just for your household, but now you're even doing that for the community, because now you're doing that publicly and people are now seeing, well, how does somebody authentically live? How does somebody vulnerably live? And I think you've been a great example to the community. I think you're going to continue doing that as you pursue this dream. And so, Kayla, thank you for your time. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me and just to let the world sort of hear your story and hear what you're doing and hear sort of your creative journey. And again, no entrepreneurial journey is a one size fits all, but you are continuing doing what you want to do, continuing what you're passionate about. And it's exciting to watch. So thank you for your time, and everybody listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We're excited to see Kayla pitch her expansion project here coming up at the Flagship Pitch 2024. And so, yeah, we're excited. But thank you all for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Flagship Podcast, sponsored by Pinnacle Systems. Visit our YouTube channel for the full-length video podcast, or find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. New podcasts are posted every month, featuring local leaders from Central Indiana. For more content, follow us on social media at Flagship Enterprise Center. Until next time, thanks for listening.